50 pounds. That was the asking price for a single horse in 14th century England. It does not sound like much until you realize it could buy a wealthy merchant's townhouse in the center of London, or pay a skilled carpenter's wages for 8 straight years, or feed an entire village for a season. One horse, one animal that could die from a stray arrow, a bad batch of grain, or a simple case of colic overnight. And yet, without that horse, you were nobody. You could not fight. You could not hold land. You could not call yourself a knight. The medieval warhorse was not transportation. It was a financial identity, a weapons platform, and a status symbol, all wrapped in muscle and hooves. Lose it, and you did not just lose a ride. You lost everything. Here is the thing most people get wrong about medieval warfare. They picture knights on horses and think cavalry. What they should be picturing is economics. Because the entire feudal system, the whole rigid hierarchy of who ruled and who served, was not built on swords or castles. It was built on the staggering, almost absurd cost of putting an armored man on an armored horse. The market for medieval horses was as sharply segmented as today's car market. At the bottom sat the sumpter, a basic pack animal you could pick up for 5 to 10 shillings. Think of it as a delivery van, cheap, reliable, invisible. Above that, the rouncey, the general-purpose horse ridden by squires and lower-ranking soldiers, 2 to 8 pounds, still a serious investment. A working family might never see that kind of money in a single pile. Then the courser, lighter, faster, built for raiding and pursuit, 5 to 20 pounds depending on quality. This was the sports car of the medieval stable. Impressive, capable, but not the top of the line. That honor belonged to the destrier. The destrier was something else entirely, not a breed in the modern genetic sense, but a type. Selected for explosive power, trained to charge headlong into a wall of screaming infantry, conditioned to tolerate the deafening crash of steel on steel. These animals were bred at royal and monastic stud farms over years of careful selection, and fed a diet of grains so rich it competed directly with human food supplies. The supply was always tight. You could not just walk into a market and buy one, and the prices reflected it. A respectable destrier ran 35 to 50 pounds. Edward III dropped 120 pounds on a single horse in 1331. That is not a typo. 120 pounds at a time when a skilled craftsman earned maybe 6 pounds in a good year. King Wenceslaus II of Bohemia rode a horse valued at 1,000 silver marks, roughly 666 pounds, enough to purchase a small village, buildings, and all. But buying the horse was just the beginning of the financial bleeding. A destrier could not graze in a field like a farm animal. It needed half a bushel of oats every day, plus hay and straw. That daily feed bill came to about 7 pennies. That does not sound catastrophic until you multiply it across a year. 10 pounds and 12 shillings just for food. That is more than the entire purchase price of a brand new courser. Every single year, a knight was essentially buying another horse just to feed the one he already owned. Then there was staff. Each warhorse needed at least one full-time groom, someone to feed it, brush it, check its hooves, keep the stable clean, and exercise it on rest days. A groom earned about 1.50 pennies per day, plus meals and lodging. Add the farrier, who replaced worn horseshoes every month or two, at 6 to 8 pennies a set. Add the occasional veterinary treatment, bloodletting, hoof care, and wound dressing after training. The total annual operating cost for one destrier was 13 to 15 pounds. Every 3 years, a knight spent the full replacement value of an elite warhorse just keeping the current one alive and functional. Imagine owning a car where the annual maintenance bill equals 1/3 of the sticker price every year, without fail. And unlike a car, if you skip a payment, the asset does not just depreciate, it dies. And we have not even talked about armor. By the 15th century, horse armor had evolved from simple leather coverings into full suits of articulated steel plate called barding, head protection, neck guard, chest plates, flank panels. A complete set cost £6 to £7. Here is the kicker. That was almost exactly the same price as a full suit of plate armor for the knight himself. Arming the horse cost as much as arming the man. 2 complete suits of steel for 1 combat unit, both of them vulnerable, both of them expensive to repair. So, let us add it all up. Destrier, £50, barding, £7, the knight's own armor, £10, a palfrey for traveling, so the destrier stays fresh, another £10, a rouncey for the squire, £5, a couple of pack horses, saddles, harnesses, lances, swords. You are looking at well over £100 of capital investment before a single blow is struck in battle. Now translate that into modern money, not through some crude inflation calculator, but through purchasing power. What could those pounds actually buy? A £50 destrier bought the same thing as a wealthy merchant's house in London. In today's real estate market, that puts you somewhere between €400,000 and €800,000. The full equipment package of over £100 maps to roughly €1 million, and the annual maintenance of £15, equivalent to a modest urban house, translates to something like €250,000 a year. You're not looking at a car. You're looking at a supercar with Formula One running costs. A Ferrari you have to feed oats to every morning, and that might drop dead if the weather turns. For the vast majority of the population, this was fantasy. A laborer earning 2 pennies a day would need over 6,000 working days to afford the horse alone. More than 20 years of wages, no food, no rent, no clothing for his family. Every coin earned for 2 decades funneled into a single animal. It was like asking a minimum wage worker to save up for a private yacht. Technically possible on paper, functionally impossible in any version of reality. Even for the knightly class, the economics were brutal. Poorer knights, the ones the Spanish called hidalgos, routinely mortgaged their estates. They borrowed from Italian banking families and Jewish moneylenders at punishing rates. The Foberti family of Florence started in wool trading, but spotted the opportunity in horse financing, offering installment plans to English knights when cash ran short. And when the knights could not pay, the Foberti dragged them to court. Between 1275 and 1279, they sued several prominent commanders, including Sir John de St. John and Sir Roger Lestrange, for a combined debt of £768, $500,000 in today's money, owed on horses. But the true nightmare scenario was not the debt. It was the battlefield. A destrier could die in seconds, an arrow through the neck, a pike to the belly, a stumble in a ditch at full gallop. When that happened, the knight did not just lose his mount, he lost his house, his investment, his ability to fight and earn. Medieval warfare was, in the coldest possible terms, a venture capital operation. The knight risked his personal assets, his horse, his armor, his body, hoping for returns through captured ransoms, battlefield loot, or grants of land from a grateful king. Kings understood this fragility. That is why they created the restauro system, a reimbursement program for horses killed in royal service. But the payments were chronically late, often insufficient. Sometimes they never arrived at all. When Edward I needed horses for his Welsh campaigns in 1282, Philip III of France slapped an export ban on war horses to hoard them for his own forces. England scrambled to build domestic breeding programs, but biology does not bend to budgets. A destrier ready for battle took years to breed, raise, and train at specialized stud farms. The demand always outran the supply. This is why the medieval battlefield looked the way it did. Not because knights were brave or chivalrous or loved their king, because the economics of horse ownership created a closed system that perpetuated itself across generations. Only the landed rich could afford the entry ticket. And once they were in, the ongoing costs locked them into a cycle of warfare, debt, and dependence on royal favor that defined the feudal order for centuries. The horse did not just carry the knight, it carried the entire social structure of medieval Europe on its back. The next time you see a painting of a knight on a gleaming horse, do not see a warrior. See a man sitting on a mansion, a walking fortune with hooves and a heartbeat. One bad day on the battlefield away from total financial ruin.